Come on.
Happy Sunday. Happy football Sunday. Happy playoffs. Fantasy
Yeah.
playoffs. First week. Yes. We're here. Guys, I'm your host, Stacy Perez, and I have got the one and only Louie Gee here. Louie, I think this is your last time on the tailgate this season.
Well, I mean, don't just say that. You never know what's going to happen here in it. We sometimes, you have the Adam Krautwursts of the world that are unreliable. You might need to call in a pinch hitter last second. So yeah, and I don't know I don't even know what the Bills schedule is. I might be at the stadium anyways, but I could do a call in. I could do a call in from the stadium. I'm always willing.
Yeah, I'm sure
We'll
you
see.
could, like. I would really love a call-in if it's like one of those horrific snow games that you guys have.
Yes.
Where you're just like, do you ever go out to the stadium and like help like clear the snow? I see that they like post stuff on that. Is that real?
I can't do it because they all they do is give you free tickets for the game, and I have season tickets. So like, I'm not going to go out there like but there is part of me, like I have people that I know that have done it to get free tickets, and I'll text them like 307 row 7, like make sure my seat is clear as shit. I want you to wipe it. I want you to put a towel down. So yeah, it does happen every game that there's big snow. They'll ask people, they'll give them free tickets for the game. And I think they pay them like $20 an hour or some shit. It's not worth it. It's whatever it is, it's not worth it. Last week was one of the all-time, I've been going games for 20 years, one of the most all-time beautiful games to be at, because it wasn't frigid. It was like 30 degrees. It was snowing the whole game. It wasn't like a blizzard, so you could still see the field. Gorgeous. Man, that's exciting for what we were just looking at from Dynasty Legends.
That Pats Bills game is going to be fantastic. I was asking you earlier, I don't know if the people viewing are into Christmas baking, but Drake May's wife, Anna May, has been doing this thing called Bakemas on TikTok, where she's baking something new every day. And I'm just so proud of the Patriots fans who sometimes get a bad rap for being a little ridiculous. Their comments are so wholesome and precious in her comment section in those. I hope it stays that way because she seems really sweet.
You have to start calling her Mrs. May, because when you asked me before and said Anna May, I was like, what is she? She's watching cartoons. What does she do? What is she? It sounded like Anna May. And I was like, what is she talking about? And I got it when you described more. I told you right after that, like even Drake May as a Bills fan is like really hard to hate. Like I absolutely, Tom Brady was so easy to hate as Bills fan for so long, but this kid is like good. He's kind of reminding me of like a young Josh Allen. He said all the right things when they asked him about Josh this week. I like the kid. I just don't like him today.
I think I also told you this like offline, but like my favorite thing that I've seen about that so far this week was like, can you believe that she's in the same like WAG group chat as Cardi B?
I imagine that is so funny. I imagine her like going to like Chat GPT and being like, what does this mean? Like after Cardi B says something, like, because they can't be two separate people.
No.
That is hilarious.
She's searching like, what does WAP mean? I don't know.
So good.
Oh man, I'll stop with that. Oh gosh. Okay. We got a lot going on today, guys. It is week 15. We are starting, if you are in, like your regular fantasy, you're starting your playoffs this week. There's probably a lot of you out there that are also in tournaments that are going on as well too. So we got a lot to get through today. Lots of questions, lots of really big implications, because like it's it. This is what we worked for all year. We're here finally in the final stretches. We're going to be going through the storylines today, going to go talk about some injuries that are coming up. Don't worry, we absolutely will talk about Grandpa Rivers getting the start today. We got lots of, I'm sure, Louie, you got like a ton of jokes on that. I've seen some really good stuff on the internet lately. What a time to be alive on the internet for sure. But yeah, man, like we've got a lot to get through. We've got some stuff in the chat already, so I love it. So guys, throw your questions, throw your comments on into that chat. Get those in. We will get to those as they're coming in. But yeah, we got a lot. Let me scroll back through. Let me find that first one. And just hey to everybody who's watching and hanging out this morning. Thanks for spending your Sunday with us. All right, let's see. Jeff, he went a super team must win a championship. You've got no picks. Hopefully your team isn't trash, but here we go. PPR favored by 45 points. Are you benching Hurts for Dart today? This is a great question because Philly has sucked the last few weeks and they just seem to be in like complete disarray. But they get the Raiders this week. And like what a gift from Santa for Philly fans. And I hate that it's Philly because but I feel like you have to start everybody. Right? Do you have to start everybody? I feel like you kind
of. No, I'm a little bit off. I have a hot take about that game that maybe we'll share later here at some point when we talk a little bit about it. But or maybe I'll get it out of the way here. Let's start with the question. Dart. I've had that decision maybe in 2 or 3 leagues, and I picked Dart. Now, the weather there is scaring me just a touch. It is a little bit windy there. It's going to be a little bit tricky. But I still think what he does with his legs, and he'll find a way to that defense is really bad. I'll go ahead and say it. And this will, I guess, making this point might even help Hurts because I think that game's going to be competitive. I think Kenny Pickett's going to go into Philly and win this game this week. That's my hot take, is that he comes back to Philly, revenge game, wins this game. So that might help Hurts if he's involved in like a closer game and they just don't blow him away. I still like Dart by a little bit there, even with all the things considered. I think I'm going to say this a lot today. And we were talking about this before the show. I think you really need to be realistic with what your team is and with decisions today, and know if you're an underdog or a favorite, because Dart has the higher upside. And I think that's why I like him today.
Yeah, I totally agree. So like they played Washington week 1. So obviously he wasn't starting back then. So we can't look back at the numbers there. But, they played New England in week 13. That's going to limit them, of course, just because they have such a great run defense. But when you look back at the last few numbers, like even going back all the way to week 6 with Philly, like he's put up 20 plus. I won a game against Philly with 19.4. Who cares? Right. But like we're talking about like a significant amount, of points here for you. And he just gives you so much upside. Like you said, like I really like Dart today. I like that matchup too. I think that's going to be a sneaky good matchup for people in their fantasy teams. Like, with, Wandale, with Tyron Tracy. Check on Chris Rodriguez if you are having to start him, because I think he popped up on the injury list with like an illness or something like that. We'll be able to tell you guys closer to 11:30 when those start rolling in. But if you are, I would start Chris Rodriguez today if he's healthy and he's going just against that Giants defense, but maybe just kind of monitor that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it might turn out, because of the late addition, that he's not playing. We will monitor that. I've called him a league winner, maybe even on this podcast last week or whatever, last time I was on. I really think he's going to be good here down the stretch. If he doesn't go, it is interesting to see how high that would. I think that's going to raise Bill in my rankings quite a bit if he doesn't go today. But I also, just because of it being weird in Washington, like I could just see Jeremy McNichols just being the guy, like that they just don't even really give. So I think if it's not Rodriguez, I wouldn't feel great about it. But the one guy you didn't mention on the Giants that I kind of like to pair with Dart today is Slayton. I think that could be. I think that could be interesting.
I've been a big Theo Johnson fan this year too. He's really stepped up and kind of become, like a tight end that you can pretty reliably start everywhere. And I also like that he was trying to fight a couple weeks ago, like against the Patriots. I love a tight end that's ready to throw down for his QB. Love it. All right, so Rick has got a question for us here. 1 point. So he needs to know, he needs 3. Stephon Diggs, Juwan Jennings, who apparently is a hoe. I'm never gonna stop saying that ever since I saw that clip. It's one of the best clips that's just gonna live rent free forever. We got Christian Watson against Denver, Lad McConkey, and Kenneth Walker the third. Here, who are we taking out of these 4? I think Diggs and Jennings for sure. Those are my first 2. I feel good about those 2. The other 3 I don't know about.
You got to play Lad, especially if Quentin Johnson doesn't
You
go
do.
to that, which
Yeah.
seems likely. So that would be my first. It looks like Johnson's not going to go, but I obviously will probably get that news here soon. Kenneth Walker the third. I mean, that way that matchup should line up is a Seattle blowout, and I think that would really give him. He just doesn't get these goal line carries. I still like him here. And then it would be deciding between the other 3 wide receivers. Watson's got a tough matchup against Denver. Jennings good. Diggs Diggs' only great game this year was against Buffalo in the revenge game. I do see that there's that possibility, and I like him a lot this week. I'm going to go Jennings as the third guy here. I just like that matchup for him, and I think he's the most reliable outside of Kittle, San Fran guy. And with McCaffrey, this McCaffrey news today that he's a little banged up. Maybe his workload's a little bit less, so they're not throwing him to him as much. I like Jennings there. So I would be leaving Diggs and Watson out, but really tough call.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't love Watson against Denver with Surtain there. I like Reed actually in that matchup a little bit better. We got to find out what's going on with Josh Jacobs and whether or not he's going to play. And Emmanuel Wilson is also he's got a virus that came out last night.
They both get good to play. It was announced this morning that they're probably both going to play, but yeah, we'll get confirmation on that soon.
Fantastic. That's good. That's good for my Packers. Go Pack Go. Yeah, love it. Rick, I hope that helps. Also, he's ready to play Purdy over May. He's seeing visions of 3 touchdowns for Brock Purdy. Like they're just dancing in his head, like under sugar plums, right? Is that the thing? I don't know.
I don't think that's as crazy as I don't think that's that crazy. I think that's one of those things where I say, see your situation, know what you're feeling like. If you're feeling like a favorite or an underdog, I think that May probably has a better floor, but that Purdy might have a little bit more of an upside with the weather that we just heard about and saw, in New England. May will do more on his feet, but I'm not sure. This Bills defense there's nothing great about them. They're very bend but don't break, but they just don't let up a lot of touchdown passes to the other opposing QBs. So I'm not ecstatic about May. He's probably down towards the bottom end of a quarterback one. So I could easily see going to Purdy, especially if it's that same team that you're talking about and you can line them up with Jennings for sure.
Yeah. All right, we got one here. Double E or Vele? Who am I? I'm blanking.
No,
Who's Double E?
Who's Double E?
Who's Double E? I'm totally blanking out. I don't know who Double E is.
Who would be? I don't know who Double E is.
I don't know. You're gonna have to help us out.
Yeah,
Von Bailey did not have a great game.
Who the hell is Double E?
I don't know. Bailey didn't have a very good game against Tampa or against Atlanta. He went off against Miami, and that's really the only time that he's gone off this season. So
I like Bailey. Yeah,
you like Bailey
I like Bailey a lot this week.
Okay.
So I would like to know if we can figure out who Double E is. I will. I'll give an answer, but I will say this: I do like Bailey a lot. He's a sleeper for me this week.
So, do you think that's going to limit Olave then? Because Carolina is not as bad of a defense as you would necessarily think they are.
They're not, and that's what I'm having a lot of trouble with. Is I have a lot of lineups with Vele, Olave, and Devin Neal this week. I like all 3 of them against a tough defense. It's uncomfortable. I guess I'm just hoping that this game might just be a little bit more high scoring than what we're all expecting, because I think all 3 of those players are worth starts. I have a lot of teams that I want to start two of the three, and it's so hard to be like
Mhm.
I have a really important team that I want to start Neil and Olave, where I
Yeah.
have really really good options behind them, but it's tough to start a running back wide receiver on a poor offense against a bad defense. But I don't know if they're a poor offense anymore. I really like Shuck,
Yeah.
and I think he's really improved that offense.
Mhm.
And
I
honestly,
agree.
Olave out of those three guys would be the one that I would like. Not saying that he's going to do worse, but he's the one that I would like withhold
Mhm.
expectations.
Yeah, I mean, the Panthers top 11 in fantasy points per or two opposing teams wide receivers. So they're and that's just like season long. But yeah. All right.
I wait.
Who-
I think I know. Double
Who's
E.
double E? Who is it?
It's got to be Evan Ingram, right? Right.
Yes, it has to be. Who else is who
The
else is double
Jeopardy
E?
game that I just had in my
Yeah.
head, but
Yeah.
no, and it's 100% Vele for me. By the way,
Oh yeah, if that's
Ingram's dead for me.
yeah, if that's what we're working with, that is in fact double E, the notorious double E. Yeah, I'm absolutely all about that.
Also, can we talk about this? Like, who has
Yeah.
ever called him Double E? I feel like that was just a thing that this guy just made up. Was it? I don't
Maybe.
know if I've ever heard
I've
that.
never heard him referred to as double E. But I kind of like it. I mean, I'll start using it if that's who it is. DJ wants to know who's starting Brady Cook today. If you're starting Brady Cook today, you're not in the playoffs, right?
Um,
Does that feel right?
it feels right. Yeah, I don't think you might be starting him in some toilet bowls,
Yeah.
or some DFS might even be a little bit fun
Okay.
as like a wild card play. I mean, his over under in yards is like 180. It's a good defense he's playing against. I don't think he's got to be quarterback number 32, I think, or maybe 31 to grandfather Rivers. But I know
Oh,
we're all pulling for it. We could talk about that for a second. I mean,
yes.
I know we're
Let's
all pulling
let's
for it, and pulling for him. I mean, not a great first matchup to be like rushed in on this and then, go up against Seattle's defense. It's just like, I understand like how having, someone with 12
yeah.
kids, it's obviously not really good at saying no, but like, what is he thinking when that phone rings? I mean,
I
it
didn't think
wasn't like
Riley
it was
Leonard was that
good the
bad.
last time he was in the league. It was bad. It
Yeah.
wasn't good. So this is insane. I'm watching for the cinema, but it's not
Yeah.
going to be pretty, I don't think.
I didn't think Riley Leonard was that bad, but the more that I heard about it this week, it kind of made a little bit more sense, with like that's the same offense that he runs in his son's high school team. And I guess he and like Steichen are in contact almost every week about the team. So they're, kind of all on the same page. So I guess that's why they were saying like kind of like made sense that he reached out to Rivers or the team reached out to Rivers. My favorite like thing on this week was I was listening to Mina Kimes and she had Ben Solak on from ESPN and he was like, "This is elder abuse." It's gonna be in the
It
rain.
is.
He's gonna be just getting absolutely destroyed by like one of the best defenses in the league, who is like winning me a lot of money right now. So thank you, Seattle. I've never had that happen where a defense has like been like the like driving force of my team. Usually I'm just getting like demolished by like the Cowboys defense every year inevitably, but finally I have one. But yeah, I think I'm on board with this. Might be elder abuse. And somebody older than me is starting in the NFL, which just brings me so much joy. I'm like, finally, you
That
get to that
is
age where they're all younger than you, and then you feel old, and I'm like, finally, I have someone who's older than me who's in the NFL.
that's insane because I told my daughter I'd take her out after I'm done recording, and I'm just dreading going stand in the snow outside at my age, and I can't imagine being 2 years older and trying to play the NFL.
Oh my
It's
god,
fun.
no.
I you know what? If it was like, trying to think of a name that works here, because a lot of the ones that come up I hate. Like Big Ben, like Ben would have been funny, but I hate him. Brady would have been funny, but I hate him. Rivers is tough to root for too. He's not. I know he's like aw shucks and doesn't swear, so everybody thinks he's cool. But like he also was like the biggest crybaby when he played. I'm not. I'm watching more for the destruction than anything. And I don't like have like a lot of their pass catchers besides Warren. And I think Warren's the one that like you could start pretty safely the same way because he'll be like his security blanket, you know.
Right.
So
yeah, he might be the only one that I feel comfortable starting. I think everyone else gets a pretty significant downgrade. What do you do with, I mean, you have to start Jonathan Taylor, but I mean, I think you gotta downgrade him today too.
Yeah, just because they're just going to load the box. They're already really good against the run.
Yep.
And so they're going to make him throw. Yeah, you have to downgrade him big time. But like you said, it's so hard not to start him. There's an interesting place if you're going to do it is in these high stakes tournaments that we talk about where like probably everyone's going to play him. That if you can pivot off of him and he has a bad game, you know, that way you could, you know, maybe gain some traction in a tournament like that. But that's the only place you get cute. I think most lineup leagues, you just play him and hope that he gets a touchdown or two.
Yeah. Seattle giving up the 4th fewest rushing yards per game. Not exactly exciting you to start Jonathan Taylor today. No. Oh man, we got a lot of other really good things too, but I want to get to Jeff's question real quick first, and then talk some more about that. But all right, 3rd receiver spot and at flex, he's got Breece Hall, Tet, Michael Wilson, Devonta Smith paired with Hurts at QB. I feel like, you know, Marvin's not playing this week, so I feel like, do we say Michael Wilson's an automatic start? But then you know who he's going against is Houston and Derek Stingley. So
well, you are lining me up for my next big hot take that I shared this week, and that is that Jacoby Brissett will go in there. They just beat Mahomes, Allen, and who is the third guy? They beat another stud. I can't remember who it is in the last 3 weeks. They made all those quarterbacks look pedestrian. Yeah. I'm going, and this is just more of like the NFL type of take. This isn't like, I think Brissett's better than these guys. I just, you know, things like this happen. They had the big game last week, letdown weeks. I think Jacoby Brissett goes there. Looks like the best quarterback that has played them. I think Michael Wilson keeps doing what he's been doing, and that they win this game today in Houston and mess up the AFC playoff picture a little bit more. So I love Wilson this week. He's definitely someone you just have to start. The flex position there, I do understand the wanting to pair Hurts with Devonta. If you feel like an underdog, that might have to be the play. I don't love it. I think sometimes you have to get off of that stack mentality if you're not playing against a big field. And Breece, while Breece will have a lot of looks today because of the quarterback situation, I think they're going to do exactly what we just talked about, Jonathan Taylor, and just try to stop him. So Tet McMillan I would be starting McMillan and Wilson out of those two.
Yeah, I agree. I was just going back through and looking at Smith's numbers here, and you know, not great against the Chargers, not great against the Bears, even Detroit, like 1.8 point, you know, so it's like he had an okay game against Dallas, which it's Dallas. You should have a little bit better of a game against them with their defense. So I don't know that it's a lock just because it's Vegas.
No, I don't love that. I just think there's a real problem with that offense. I mean, the offense coordinator is not, is really struggling there, getting that together. And, you know, you got to start, it's week 15. You got to start believing what we're seeing, and you can't just be like, oh, it's Hurts and Smith and Brown and Barkley. I mean, Barkley is not a must start this week. No. Like Devontae Smith, definitely not. Goddard, definitely not. Even Hurts, we just talked about it. Like we would start Dart, or I would start Dart. At least I don't want to speak for you. And
no, I would, yeah.
As much as you know, you probably have to start AJ Brown. It's another guy that I'm scared of certain weeks. So,
yeah, agreed. All right, we got a couple more, guys. I'm loving all these questions that are coming in. Keep throwing these in. I want to get to all of them this morning. All right. So Alex wants to know, really stuck between Lad or Uncle Rico in PPR. What do we think? We talked about Lad already, but I don't know. I think I'm still sticking with Lad. I mean, they kind of brought Chuba back in a little bit more, involved him a little bit more into the run game there. So with Johnson being out, like we talked about, I think I'm a Lad girl this week.
Yeah, if we find out if we get confirmation of Johnston being out, I mean Keenan Allen's just kind of died off. He was
Mhm.
had a good start, but he hasn't been much. I want to mention in case no one talks about it, but if Johnston is out, obviously Ladd becomes a must start, but Trey Harris then gets a little bit fun. And I would be starting him in some spots that I had him to pair with Herbert or in DFS. I think he becomes fun if Johnston's not
Mhm.
out. Gadsden might have a little bit of a recovery game. He's been struggling since like last 3 or 4 weeks, but that's a tough matchup. Like KC's
Yeah.
got a solid defense, so like I wouldn't be ecstatic to play any of those guys. But yeah, I think it's Ladd pretty heavy for me over
Yeah.
Dowdle pretty confidently.
Agreed. That's going to be an interesting game too. That one, whether or not the Chiefs can. But I'm just like it's the Chiefs. I just feel like they're going to beat the Chargers because they're evil and they've made a pact with the devil and won't
There,
lose.
again, I want to just say, like, it's week 15. We have to start believing what we see, and I don't know if they're that good of a team. It's not like oh, they're the Chiefs and they're going to find a
Yeah,
way, or they get all this luck. Like the luck has not been their way this
not this
year.
year.
The calls have not been their way this year. Like
Mm-mm.
it's the universe paying us back for 10 years of misery.
Yep.
I think, and it's still going to be a tough game for the Chargers. I could see the Chiefs pulling it out, but I like Ladd easily in that spot.
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay, here we go. All right. Kayla wants to know Reed over Spears, PPR. Just feeling a little bit more hesitant than you should. Listen, I don't know what happened with the Tennessee run game and like why Tony Pollard decided to whip out a massive game in Week 14 last week when they haven't done anything. But I like Jane Reed against Denver today. I think they're going to be focused on Watson. I think that's where the certain coverage is going to go. I think they're going to use Reed a little bit more. I feel more confident starting him today over anybody else on the Packers, but even on with Spears.
I agree with all that you said, besides the fact that I don't think Surtain will probably travel with Watson. I
Yeah.
think he'll probably stay in his spot, which he tends to do. He doesn't travel as much with the top guy, and just tends to stay in his spot. So it will be just kind of where the Packers line guys up. But
Mhm.
with that being said, I think Reed will play a little bit more away from him, and that's why I think that's an easy thing. And as much as Spears, we're only a year removed from Spears being a league winner. Remember, he had 3 great
Mhm.
weeks last week at the end of the year, and Pollard showing what he did last week shows that it's like possible from their backfield.
Yeah.
They're probably going to be playing from behind. Spears is the better pass
Mhm.
catcher, so like sure he's got a little bit of upside. Again, I would go with the same thing that I'll keep repeating, is that if you felt like an underdog, I think Reed is the definite play. If you felt like a pretty heavy favorite, I think Spears probably has a decent floor where he's going to get you 8 or 9 points. So, but I think just in a vacuum, I'm leaning Reed.
All right. Huncho wants to know about Devin Neal. You mentioned Devin Neal earlier.
I love him.
He's
And
the underrated player for week 1 of the fantasy playoffs.
this Devin Neal was like someone that I loved pre-draft. My pre-draft underdog stuff is really going through the roof here with his emergence. I had a bunch of them. I calmed down on him after the spot, even though it wasn't like I knew it would just be delayed. Obviously, I didn't think Kamara was going to hold him off for the whole year. He obviously didn't. And with injuries, but he wasn't playing well to begin with.
Yeah.
You're already seeing Devin Neal has more all-purpose yards per game in the 3 games than Kamara did in his best game. So all year. So like he's definitely really good. I want to ask you on this one because this is one that I was looking at today. I'm having a really tough time with. Probably my biggest team, like the one that like I'm the best at, but also because of that, it means the most. I think it's my most live main event team in the thing. So like,
Wait,
I
Louie, you
have
have live main event teams? Hang on. What?
yeah. I have two that are in the. I have two main event teams that are in the tournament, and I have 5 big gorillas that are in the big tournament. So this one's the toughest one I have. I have to between one guy here, Woody Marks, Neil, Devontae Smith, and I threw Gesicki in here because I think Gesicki's going to have a huge game. I don't think I could pick him over those 3 guys. And Devontae, I've kind of worked myself off of. So I really think it's between Woody Marks and Devin Neal. Do you have a lean?
I think I'm gonna go with Neil on this one. I think I'm going Neil against Carolina today. I like that they're indoors. It's, I was a big Woody Marks fan, right? When he kind of started coming on and taking over that job full time. And he just hasn't been he's been a little underwhelming of late,
He just doesn't have the ceiling. He
He
doesn't have that
doesn't.
crazy ceiling.
No.
No Chubb today. So
Right?
that like helps his ceiling a little bit because he might get touchdowns. But no, I'm
What else
just
do we have to
really
hope for?
I will throw this in, and this is part of my like trouble with it is Devin on that team. I have Olave. So like I mentioned earlier, it's like that's a lot of investment in the New Orleans Saints, whatever.
About to say that, yeah. It's a
The
lot of
counterpoint is how many crazy people with good teams in the main event tournament are playing Neal and Olave. So if they both go off, I'll be sitting pretty.
I have a gorilla that is still live, and it actually just won its division, which was kind of insane. So Louis, I had this, and I know people don't care about our individual fantasy teams, but I will tell you this because this involves people that is that this is a team that I drafted with Jim Bednar and with Mike Shope and Adam Krautwurst. And this poor team was 3-4 going into week 8, and then proceeded to like win out the rest of the season. And we won that, but we have Olave on that team. So that kind of made me think about that.
I'm excited for him today. I mean, like I said, I'm
Saints are
excited
going to win
for
us money.
I know we're building up on questions, but one thing that I can't believe we got 30 some minutes into this and haven't mentioned is, and I want to get your take on it. Like, if you don't have a lot of Kyle Pitts, like you might feel like your season is over in your portfolio. And I have them in enough spots that it wasn't like excruciating, but it does feel like if you look at a team right now that doesn't have them or you're playing against them, it does feel like you could just mark down the L right now.
Yeah. I held a grudge against Kyle Pitts this year because I was so overloaded on him last season. I went down the rabbit hole of Kirk Cousins loves throwing to his tight end. He threw to Hawkinson 20-something% of the time, blah, 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 and just went so down that rabbit hole and a rabbit trail. I said rabbit hole. That's not a thing. Rabbit trail, whatever. You guys know what I mean.
No.
Anyway. That I think who cares? Whatever. I held a grudge, and you're not supposed to hold grudges, but I held a grudge this year against Kyle Pitts. So I don't have any Kyle Pitts in any of my teams that are still alive, which is sad now. I did see something on the internet that was basically like, someone's going to be like getting into fantasy for the first time in their lives, and they're going to see Kyle Pitts' line and think he's the best tight end like that's ever played.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if anything, it probably will raise his stock next year.
Yeah.
For sure, because people will remember when he ended the fantasy playoffs for most people. It's very, I guess it's not to that level yet because he could have a couple duds, but like, it's like you could almost definitively say already 1 game into a 3-week race on these big things that like the winning team probably is going to have Kyle Pitts on them. And that's insane. It's just insane to like think after 24 hours of a 3-week race, you can probably eliminate some teams, and that sucks.
It's wild. And you know what? It just is so it just goes to show you that, like fantasy is so crazy and like it's not gonna be the players that you took in the first round that are gonna win it for you. It's gonna be somebody random that, you weren't counting on at all. Like, I don't know. Like Louis, who's the most random player that's won you like a championship? Because mine is Cole Beasley. Like Cole
Cole
Beasley won me
Beasley.
my first like high stakes championship.
I don't know if I have one that comes to the top of my head right now. There's been a bunch, but I want to this anytime anybody asks me this question, I love to share the story of our friends, the Go Bills guys from Buffalo
Yes.
that won the $1 million 2 years back to back,
Mhm.
actually, on the main event. But the first year that they won it, they were in week 2, they were behind quite a bit. So they like had to kind of play at DFS and kind of had to play like let's put in somebody that doesn't belong there. Very smart strategy. And they put in Zay Jones when he was with the Jags. And that was the day that Zay Jones scored 3 touchdowns in like week 16 or whatever. And it propelled them to the front. And I just like ever since that moment, not that that's going to happen all the time, but like that's part of what I want to share like continuously
Yeah.
today is that like throw in those guys that you have a good hunch on that, especially in these tournaments that like people aren't starting. If you're playing one-on-one, you almost have to just start your guys, right? And just
Yeah.
hope for the best. But if you're playing in these tournaments, like take some chances
Yeah.
because there are weird guys that are going to have some monster games.
Oh, yeah. I wanna get to this question in here from Let's Get It. Lou, I'm not gonna lie, did you ever watch Celebrity Jeopardy on SNL when
Oh
they had,
yeah.
like so I had a that moment right there when I was reading Let's Get It's, handle, and I was like, "Let what?" Like like, "Let it snow," like, "Let's hit snow." Like, that's
Oh
what
yeah.
I read right there. I'm so sorry. Let's Get It, but I hope you know that just brought me so much joy and some nostalgia right there reading your handle. All right. He needs 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a defense. Here are his options. He has got Kyron. He's on my naughty list this week. Henderson, Marks, Myers, BTJ, Judy, Slayton, Broncos, or Bears for the defense there. Oof.
The running backs for me right off the bat, I'm sitting Kyron almost everywhere.
Yeah.
The Corum's been taking over a little bit more. That's a really, really tough matchup. Detroit's
Yeah.
like fourth best against the run. Kyron is a complete sit for me this week. So I think that makes it easy with Henderson and Marks. The defenses, that's tough. I think you have to go Bears. I know Shador's been, looking
Yeah.
decent, but it's still, he's also like one play away from or one game away from just having that like 4 INT blow up. Like I just don't think
Yeah.
he's good. So
And it's
Bears
like
D,
3 degrees. It's 3 degrees in Chicago right
I
now.
know. So like
Ugh.
that screams not great. And then for the wide receivers, out of those 4, man,
I
this
don't like
is
Judy. I don't like
really
Judy
like
in that
Judy.
folder. You
I
do? Oh,
really
I
like
don't like it.
Judy.
I don't
He's
feel
the
good
one
about it.
player, but if you're starting the Bears D, I probably get off of Judy. But I
Yeah.
kind of like Judy today. Just a weird thing I ran through when looking at props today. Judy and Adunze's numbers are the exact same, so that should
Adunze's
like
playing. He
that's
is
yeah,
super
he is
active.
playing, so
Yeah.
that should bring. I don't know if that raises me on Judy or brings me down on Adunze, but that's just very, very. I think it's a little bit of both, but that's very telling on what to expect from both players. I am kind of avoiding Adunze more. I mean,
Yeah.
Adunze was like a guy that like made my playoffs or
Yeah.
made my fantasy season this year. I was highly invested. He obviously had a great first half of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Has slowed down now just with this injury where he's questionable. Be careful with him. To get back to the question, I think Myers is the guy over
Yeah. My
BTJ. I
Myers
really
is my
do.
start today.
And I think I'm Myers and Slayton. I really do.
Yeah.
I think I'm sitting BTJ, and that's crazy to say, but I've said it 7 times already on this podcast. But it's week 15. We got to start believing what we see, and
Yep.
BTJ just might not have it in this offense right now.
No, I agree. And here's this is from the NFL Next Gen Stats. So since being traded to the Jags, Myers is averaging 2.2 yards per route run and 9.2 yards per target with 3 touchdowns in 5 games. During his time with the Raiders this season, he averaged 1.5 yards per route, 7.2 yards per target, and scored no touchdowns across 7 games. You know, I could go on and on and on, but say he's produced 197 of his 287 receiving yards, 2 of his 3 touchdowns on those downfield targets since joining the Jags. He's locked in with T-Law right now. I'm all about Myers. BTJ he's dead to me right now.
The other way, have you or the other questions, did you?
Oh, the other one? Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you benching Kyron. He made my sit today, and I like the Bears over the Broncos just because I like the Green Bay defense a little bit better, or I mean offense. Right now, I think they're clicking, they're healthy. And let me ask you this, since you live somewhere where it gets stupid cold, because this is what I was kind of thinking when you were talking about like the Cleveland Chicago game, right? I don't want to be a wide receiver in that game and having like basically a frozen rock being like thrown at me at a very high rate of speed. I feel like if that hits my fingers, they're just going to snap off. They're just going to just break right off.
I get that. Watching Josh Allen be so good in it, and one, he throws so hard that
Yeah.
and his wide receivers are fine. That has kind of changed my way of thinking on that. I always was kind of like that, and now I'm like, I don't know. I watch this guy throw 100-mile-per-hour bombs, and wide receivers that aren't that good catch it. So I've backed off a little bit. Let me just real quick, because I'm getting some stuff in here. Johnston is out. Quentin Johnston.
Yep. So it's
Debo
Chris Rodriguez.
Samuel. Chris Rodriguez out. Debo Samuel is active. And then there was one. Gabe Davis out for the Bills, and Joshua
Already?
Palmer. Joshua Palmer in. I'll tell you what. The day before Palmer got hurt, this last time, he started off really rough with the Bills. He got hurt in the Falcons game. They had a game plan really, really like scripted around him. It looked like they were like, oh wait, this is the week we're going to get him involved. Then he got hurt in like the second quarter.
Yeah.
Nobody is good here. Like the wide receiver, somebody who watches the team more than anything. There is not a great wide receiver. I would be excited about a Palmer play today. Again, probably more DFS than anything, just like a high ceiling play, but he could have a fun game.
Yeah. I want to grab this one real quick. So Kayla wants to know, he's been back and forth on Waller versus Strange. Waller Monday Night Football there against the Steelers, but Strange ranked significantly higher. I like Strange better this week, but I do have Waller on because they get Cincinnati next week. And you know who the best tight end in the league is every week to week, Louie? It's whoever's playing Cincinnati. Yeah.
100%.
So I love him in week 16, but I like Strange better this week. He had a down week, right, against Indy. Okay, fine, but he's been kind of really locked in there since he got back with Trevor Lawrence. And I like that he's not touchdown dependent. He's still going to get you those points without having to get in the end zone, which you can't say that for a lot of tight ends. I mean, it's Waller. That's where Waller's value comes in, is in the red zone. So
I think he answered his own question. He said thinking Strange for floor, Waller for ceiling, and I tend to agree with that. I think I would here's another thing. Sure, that's right. Where you're 50-50, and this is, I feel like, a real 50-50 call. I want to put in the points that I know I'm getting today, because if you put Waller in and he gets sick tomorrow or something, this is like post-COVID fear still, because when COVID would hit, like, you would never want to like save Monday night, because if somebody woke up Monday feeling sick, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, and Waller's old, man. He could wake up with sniffles tomorrow.
His fiance could break up with him and he could write another rap album. Like, you don't know.
That's it. So I think it's a 50-50 call, and I'm probably putting Strange in just for the safety of it.
So Steelers do have a pretty nice tight end spot, but if you're just looking at just pure fantasy points allowed to opposing tight ends, Bengals by a wide margin, 24.9 points. Steelers are 16.2 points to opposing teams' tight ends, and the next even closest one is the Seahawks with 16.6 points to opposing teams' tight ends. So like you've got 16.6 with the 31st team in the league, right? And then you got the Bengals coming in at 24.9. So
Yeah, no, and I know, we might not get to like actual starts and sits today because of all the questions coming in, but like I know that you like both those tight ends today
You.
you mentioned,
Yeah,
um and I agree. You there's spots that you can start them both, likely in
yeah,
Andrews on the same roster and be
yeah.
fine, I think. Because
And I think
Bateman's out too. So like those are their
exactly.
two and those are their second and third options.
Bateman's out, and then also like not. I think I heard it this week, and I definitely agreed with it. But it was like Cincinnati just decided like they're just going to allow themselves to be burnt through the tight end, and that's fine. But like they are pretty stingy with whoever the top, wide receiver for the opposing team is. Like they do have a
Yeah.
decent secondary. So I don't even like say Flowers today, but give me Andrews, give me Likely. Hell, you know what? I might even go do something crazy and throw like an anytime touchdown for Charlie Kolar today.
I don't
Wild.
hate it. Yeah, that's not a bad move because they always end up there. They really end up. They
Yeah.
use sometimes you're like, how do you have six tight ends?
Right.
You're like they have Lamar has eight completions and six of them are six different tight ends. You're like, I didn't even know that was a thing.
It's like they're
Um,
like the Steelers with all their tight ends. By the way, Darnell Washington is going to be active for Monday night. I know you guys were all really concerned about that. I was because I love Darnell Washington. Hopefully, there's some Darnell Washington fans out there
to
as
your
well.
point though, too, like DJ Turner, the top corner there in
Yes,
Cincy is
thank
like
you.
really, really good. And
Mhm.
he has been stopping the top wide receiver. So
Yeah.
get off of Flowers. Like I don't Flowers has been
Yeah.
unexciting to begin with, but
Yeah.
this is a good opportunity to stay away from him and get those tight ends in.
Oh yeah. Let's jump into some of our starts real quick. And we can try to get to some of our sits too. Mine are pretty obvious. Other than the only one that we haven't talked about already was just Puka, and like obviously you're starting Puka, but um, I just think I'm really excited about that game anyway. But with Detroit, they're giving up the second most fantasy points to opposing teams' wide receivers. Puka has recorded at least over 100 receiving yards in his last are in 4 games in 2025. And then I saw this stat too. He's faced the Lions twice in his career, and he's averaged 108 points or 108 yards per game. So obviously, Puka all day today.
Yep.
Who you got, Louie? Who's
Okay.
one of your guys?
For wide receiver or just any kind of start. I mean,
Any start today?
yeah.
Anybody?
I'll stick with wide receiver just in case we get some more time to like talk about the other
Yeah.
positions. But I do have both New England guys, even though I picked Diggs to sit. But like
Mhm.
Diggs, and when I say both New England guys, I'm sorry, I'm talking about Matt Collins as the other guy. Again, Vrabel is very much like a player's coach to where like the revenge games.
Yeah.
I think he would play into it. He definitely played into it for Diggs the first game. I
Yeah.
wonder if this might not be a Hollins game because Diggs got it the first time.
That's
Seriously,
true.
I'm not even joking. I wouldn't be shocked to see like some big big plays from Matt Collins today. Bailey, I already mentioned. I like AD Mitchell, and
Okay.
I know it's Cook at the quarterback, but I told you earlier is over under passing yards to 180, but AD Mitchell's over under is 42. So they are literally like having him get 25% of his passing yards. Like the Vegas is already assuming he's going to get 25% of that yards. I like that. I think he'll be a target hog and a safety valve for Cook. And then I mentioned Trey Harris, especially now without Johnson. I like him as a really high upside play.
Well, and going back to the Jets too, I'm pretty sure Mason Taylor's out for today, so they don't
Yes,
even have
yes,
that
yep.
safety valve at tight end. Real quick here, Freak wants to know. So he's in playoffs right with no trade deadline. So this is a dynasty question. He's being offered Jennings, Monangai, and the 204 for RJ Harvey.
I would imagine that you're a win now team if you're even considering that. If that's the case, but then you're taking in. I hate on it. This doesn't line up either way for me personally as a trade I would take only because if you're a win now team and you're getting Jennings and you're getting a
Mhm.
pick that doesn't help you this year. I think Harvey helps you more than those two guys already this year if you're a win now. I'm keeping Harvey probably no matter if you're a win now or not in that team.
Yeah, I think so.
It's not like a bad value for like an off-season trade, but one without knowing the direction of your team. And I would imagine if you're asking about Jennings, I imagine you're playing for win now and just taking any kind of pick, unless you could flip that pick. I mean, you probably got 2 hours.
Yeah.
Some at least the leagues that I'm in that have no quote unquote trade deadline do have one at 1:00 today. Unless you could flip that pick for a win now piece too, do it. But I would say probably not. Hold off and keep Harvey. I think Harvey is going to be a really, really good player. And I'm not worried about like a guy like Dobbins coming back or anything next year. It will be Harvey's role going forward.
For sure. Josh wants to know, flex question, are we starting Quinshon or Harold Fannin? It's full point PPR. They don't use Quinshon in the pass game at all. Like, I'm looking back at his total yard. Well, he had 58. Okay, so that was like that was kind of an outlier for him. But before that, 18 yards, a couple zeros, 10, -2. He's not somebody that they're going to all the time there. I don't know. I'm thinking I just really like Fannin. I'm a big Fannin person.
I love Fannin. If it was a tight end premium league, I'd probably push that.
Yeah.
I think the answer is Judkins here. Man, that's a really tough call. Fannin is absolutely a top 3 tight end this week. But without the tight end premium, I think Judkins could have a big week this week too.
Yeah, I'm just going back here and looking at Fannin's numbers as far as like targets go. And I mean, he's obviously like leading the team there. He's got a 25% target percentage the last 3 weeks. Like, oh God, he's just so good. But I just really think cold weather. I think this is going to be ground and pound. I think I still got to go Judkins too.
Can you start with that Kincaid Warren with your answer and give me 1 second?
Yeah,
I see a question. We have to give you 1 second. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So we've got Noah wants to know Kincaid or Tyler Warren here. All right. So the Bills obviously facing the Patriots. Let me take a look at numbers here because I am pretty sure the Pats, where are we at here? Pats. Okay, so they're a little bit lower than you would think with Kincaid. Kincaid has, he just came off of a really good game. He's been hurt a little bit dealing with that. But I like Tyler Warren. I think today we talked about him a little bit earlier on in the show when we were talking about Rivers and how he's probably the only person that you can comfortably start in that Indy offense, there with Grandpa under center. So I think I'm probably going with Warren. I think I'm going with Warren over Kincaid this week. If it was a little bit better matchup, I think, for that position and everything with Kincaid, I think I would stick with Kincaid, maybe in a different matchup. But I think Warren for me, Louie, just kind of for the reasons that we talked about before with him being there as kind of that safety net for Rivers. Oh,
yeah, not to take the easy route and say, oh man, this is another 50-50 call, but it truly is.
Yeah.
I think Kincaid is going to be the top receiver in Buffalo today. What that means usually isn't a really high ceiling because of how they spread the ball around. And then like you expect Indy to be down and Warren to be the safety valve. We all know that Rivers has loved his tight ends throughout his career. Man, it's Warren by like a slight difference for me, but they're both, I'm pretty confident both of them. If you could start one of them in your flex, depending on what your flexes are, I think I would start them both, to be perfectly honest, because I think they both
like that.
Eat today.
I like that. That's a good way to kind of split that baby too. I'm not opposed to throwing, a tight end and then another tight end in a flex if the situation warrants it at all. Jonathan wants to know, he had a bye week, so I have the bye week. So does he drop Jaden Higgins or Sharps for JCM?
Man, the bye week dropped Jaden Higgins or Sharps for JCM.
Ooh.
Yeah. I really don't. I really don't love JCM. I do think that I wouldn't drop Sharps.
I wouldn't either, and I don't think I'd drop Higgins either.
The question is Higgins. And there's a lot of questions I would want to ask here. And if you had Shroud or like, so you would have that stacking ability, things like that would break the tie for me. What your depth is at running back compared to wide receiver. I think there's some tough things there. In a vacuum, I think I'm staying put.
I think so too. I was just looking at Higgins' numbers. I mean, he's come on in over the last 3 weeks. His target percentage is 19.8% overall for the Texans in their pass catching room, and that's right behind. I mean, like Nico Collins during that time, it's 21.9. So I mean, he's like right there with Nico. I think he's kind of taken over that second, option from Dalton Schultz.
For
I
sure.
I really like Higgins there, and Sharps is going to get those goal line touches. I don't know that I can. Once upon a time, I might have been
Yeah.
on board with JCM, but not now.
We could say that we're interested to see what happens without Rodriguez for JCM. We could say that, but we also saw that. That's the reason why they went to Rodriguez, was because they gave him that opportunity and it didn't work out. So, I'm tempering expectations there. And I kind of made a joke about it earlier, but because it went so bad earlier in the year, I could just see it being like a McNichols game, or Chase Edmonds just got, I think, brought up there. And like, again, not to I could see that they're going nowhere. They're not trying to win games. They're probably, quite honestly, trying to lose at this point. I mean, no one's trying to lose, but you know what I'm saying? That a loss helps them as far as draft capital and everything. They might just say, "Hey, Chase, like this, go out there and be serviceable." And I'm a little bit down on that decision.
Yeah, I think so. And Aiden kind of put that question in the chat too. So Aiden, I hope that answered your question about JCM and Chris Rodriguez. And okay, so I want to get to real quick. Where did it go? Here we go. Noah wants to know. Start 2 out of the 3. Justin Jefferson, Wandale, McLaurin. Is this it? Is this the week that we sit Justin Jefferson?
No, I think this is the week that another one of my hot takes is, I think I made this on this podcast, is like that JJ McCarthy was like the quarterback you were going to want for these tournaments. He has a great matchups these 3 weeks. He has starting today against Dallas. I think today is the JJ game. I think he might be old Justin Jefferson today. The other 2 are tough calls here. I tend to go with McLaurin only because there's less options. I do think Mariota has shown like a little bit of a decent chemistry there. I don't know. Never mind. I want to go back to Wandale. I'm gonna go to Wandale. I think in a game that it was a little bit where my head went, with a game that's gonna be a little bit windy and like tough to throw the ball down the field and stuff. I think that suits Wandale's like short passing game more than it does McLaurin. So I'm gonna switch.
He's just such a target monster. I mean, there for them, like, and just overall, like with Wandale, I don't know. I like he's gonna get you a ton of PPR points too. I like that a lot. Hopefully that answered your question. Noah, let me see. We got a few more in here. Let's see. Jonathan wants to know his receivers are Sun God, Pickens, Wandale, Sutton, DK, and this league counts. Ooh, return yards. That's sexy. He was not going to start Higgins unless Nico went down. Okay. St. Brown against the Rams. We got Pickens against Minnesota. Wandale, we just talked about. Sutton, I don't like against Green Bay. And DK. Yeah.
That was Jonathan. I'm sorry. He was answering the question about whether or not he should drop Jaden Higgins or Sharps for JCM. So he was just giving us more context there.
Okay.
So
I was like, wow, these are great receivers. Like,
yeah. More. So that does make me feel a little bit better about dropping Jaden Higgins for JCM if you needed a little bit more running back depth. It really depends on how deep your bench.
Yeah. All right. Good, guys. We've got so many really good questions in here. Keep throwing them in. Louie and I have some extra time this morning, so we're going to hang out with you guys for a little bit longer. So get those questions in. Week 15. Jonathan says DK is actually wide receiver 6 in his league. Yeah. There we go.
That's a cool little. I like any kind of little wrinkles like that. I love, and that does make DK like a top wide receiver.
Yeah. All right. So you want to do some of your sits? Who are some guys that you're not on this week that we maybe haven't touched on yet?
Quarterback is Dak Prescott, which we haven't even mentioned that offense today, but like Minnesota's defense is really good, a lot better than people give it credit for. I do, because I said like I really like McCarthy and I do like that offense and them to score well. I think that kind of bumps Dak up because I feel like it might end up being a little bit of a higher scoring game, but I don't love him this week. And CD coming off of the injury and got cleared pretty early this week, but I just don't love that. Kyron Williams already mentions like a big time sit for me at running back. Wide receiver was Christian Watson. We both mentioned like not loving him, and I'm seeing Kelsey like still being ranked as a top 5 tight end this week. I just can't see it. Like not to be a broken record, but let's believe what we've seen. It's week 15. It's just he's washed a little bit. So does he have that potential where they like kind of force it to him to like get that magic back? Sure. But I don't want to bet on it.
No, I think and I just even looking at the numbers, right? Like I don't really want to, Mahomes, right, isn't a great fantasy asset this year, but I think if they win that game today, it's probably just because of Mahomes, and that's it. Like that would I'm not going to be surprised if they win that game. Just I know they've not looked good, but I just until they completely or have the big E next to their name on the playoff stat, I don't know that I can completely count them out, even though it's just been so ugly this year for them. Some of my guys that I'm not excited about, Dak also. I had Dak on my list here too, Vikings, and I saw the stat on ESPN and I had to go and check it because I was like, no way. But over the last 5 weeks, they have limited opposing quarterbacks to only 8 points. It's like an average of 8 points per game. Here are the 5: Lamar, Caleb, Jordan Love, Sam Darnold, and then the Daniels Mariota combo. And then they're just third fewest fantasy points over the entire season at 13.9. So I had to go back and look at that. I know they've been good, but I didn't realize they were like that good this year. So not a fan of that this year or this week. He also wants to know he's playing against Dak in a Fans Classic round 1. Would love to see him crumble.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that last part. I can't say it less. I'll you put it.
Little bit
Everyone can read it there. I don't like Jaylen Warren and Gainwell this week. Another surprising thing that I kind of found when I was looking around at numbers here is that Louie, do you know who over the last 5 weeks has allowed a big fat 0 rushing touchdowns?
Is it really the Miami Dolphins? Huh?
I swear to you, I went back, I looked at the box score for each one of those games because I thought I didn't believe that stat when I saw it. I was like, that can't be true. It is in fact true. They've allowed the fewest fantasy points per game to that position during that span. And speaking of those two players, their schedule for the rest of the playoffs is Detroit next week and then Cleveland.
Yep.
That's not great.
No, it's not. I kind of like Gainwell tomorrow. If you had to pick anybody, it kind of goes back to the same point I made with the Waller thing. Is just like if he's a 50-50 call, which he is most times, like Gainwell is not somebody you're like a must start. It's just like, let me get the points in today and not worry about him waking up in the morning sick or and I don't have a pivot. So, but I do like Gainwell more than Warren, and don't hate that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, it is the time that you've all been waiting for. I know everybody wants to know who Maddox is going to pick for Monday Night Football. Steelers against the Dolphins. Get ready, guys. Here he goes. He was so excited to pick the Steelers, he couldn't wait until I put the helmets down on the ground to go jump on them.
I hope not. I hope not. I just want to see Aaron Rodgers burn down and that whole team burn. But I'm
God.
pulling for Miami to kind of like claw their way back into this, so that in Week 18 when they play the Patriots and the Bills are tied with them after beating them today, that Miami, because we'll need New England to beat or to lose to Miami to still win the division. So I'm rooting for Miami to claw their way back into this a little bit. And also, I don't, again, as a Bills fan, I've said that I don't hate Drake May, and I'm going to say I don't hate Mike McDaniel. And I kind of want to
Yeah.
see him finish the year with a little bit of success, maybe more so because I like him as a person, but he's not a great coach, and I wouldn't mind him sticking around in a division that the Bills play in. So maybe that's why.
Fair. Let's see. I looked up while you were talking. I was like, I wonder what over the last 5 years, New England has lost four straight, and 8 of their last 9 games in Miami. Will that game be in Miami?
No, it's in New England. It
Okay.
is New England, but Miami always does tend to play them well. I mean, here's the
They
thing: is
do.
that the Bills need a win today. Obviously, win out, which they have a game. They two easy games, the games with the Eagles. Um, they would have to win out, but even if the New England would have to lose one of the 2 games against the Jets or the Dolphins to lose like the tiebreaker. And obviously the Jets are not going to happen as long as Brady Cook is playing. And but Miami's live. They always play them tough. End game of the year. Like
They
crazy
do.
shit happens the last week of the season
Oh, yeah.
every year. So like that's live.
Well, all right,
I'm
guys.
still trying to dream of a scenario where the Bills are the number 1 seed. Like I'm not giving it up. It reminds me of the old days of like where in week 16 you thought of all the 37 things that needed to happen for them to make the playoffs
Yeah.
when they sucked. Now it's like I could still imagine the path to the number 1 seed somehow.
Anything could happen. Somebody's really excited about football today. He's been jumping around over here and causing all sorts of chaos. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us this morning and getting your teams ready for week 15, going into your fantasy playoffs. Hope you guys all have a great, successful day today. Louie, tell everybody where they can find you and how they can follow you online.
Yeah. YouTube at Not Your Uncle's podcast station. You can find my 2 podcasts. The fantasy football one is Analytics Are For the Nerds, and we record that on every Wednesday night. We're on X. You can find me there, and then you can find me personally on X at FF_Louie Gee.
You can find Louie on TikTok also, guys.
I am on TikTok. I don't know. I'm a boomer. I don't really understand how to do the TikToks. If anybody wants to teach me, but yeah, you can find me there, I think. And then also if you can DM me there and teach me how to use it, that would be great.
Louis is getting ready to do some like dancing. If the Bills win today, he's going to post a video of him doing a celebratory dance on TikTok. You heard it here first. Guys, again, thanks so much for hanging out with us and good luck in your fantasy teams. We will see you back next week, week 16 at 11, just like always. Until then, guys, go make those last minute changes, get some DFS picks in. We need some Christmas money. We will see you next week.